Now, Roger's asked a very interesting question, saying, if the lion was not a social predator, would they be in danger of going the same way as the saber-toothed cat? Yes, I would definitely think so. Now, the main reason for that being is that hyenas, or spotted hyenas in particular, and lions fill the same ecological niche. They're after the same prey species on a base level. So yes, so if lions were all of a sudden now to become non-social predators, the hyenas would outcompete them completely and probably wipe them out. Not so much the males because of their pure size, but the lionesses and the cubs would be constantly harassed. And one must remember, if every time you take something out of an ecosystem, it changes it completely. And lions are probably a social predator because of the development of other social predators at the same time, namely human beings and spotted hyena. Now, not even the slight movement on the lions. Very, very cozy. Now, I really don't want to leave them. I've just got this feeling that they're going to move in not too long. But while we continue to play the patience game with the Djuma and Birmingham, let's go see what Jamie's been up to.
So guys, we've been racing to a sighting at the, not racing actually, we weren't even going that fast, to be completely honest with you. We were going at a slightly faster speed than we were going at, to respond to Karula, who is standing, or was when she was called in, standing at the camp sign, the DRC camp sign. So that's where our main camp is. At which point Rusty started going duku 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 duku, and I was just hit in the face by a smell of something burning. She seems to be okay now, but I've opened up the hood, and the hood, hey, I even used it automatically this time. The bonnet, as South Africans and the English might say, but the Americans and others say the hood. I opened up the hood, and she doesn't smell great. I can't work out exactly where the damage is coming from out here. So because Wendy is not doing so well, we can't really afford to lose Rusty either. I'm going to quickly try and get her back to Opa. I'm really hoping he's around, and that Steph will be waiting there to, like an angel, waiting to help me out in terms of making a decision, because I don't want to damage this vehicle any further. And vehicles are not meant to go duk 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 duk. And she stopped doing it now, but I'm worried that it's the fan slipping into the fan belt itself. So we're going to very slowly, I just did that whole patch while I've been talking to you in neutral, just letting her carry herself. We're going to take the hill nice and gently. And hopefully, since Opa's house, or Opa's workshop is right next to the DRC, you never know, Karula might make an appearance as we attempt to get Rusty double checked. Here we go. She seems fine now, but that was definitely not a healthy smell. It was definitely not a good smell at all. Oh well, as you know, our vehicles twice a day, every day, get driven around a reserve. It's not easy suburban or city driving. It's seriously tough, often off-road driving. And that means that things get broken, things get damaged. It just is the way it is. And we're going to slowly cruise towards the workshop. You might see us going past on the dam camera, because I'm going to take the shortest route I can. While we do that, while we limp home in a sort of sorry state of affairs, let's go back to Brent and the lions.
Now, it seems like a complete conundrum, not conundrum, sorry, what would be the collective noun for a collective noun of errors? Now, Maggie the Mahindra is, of course, a temporary vehicle. It's Wendy is busy being rewired, and Maggie the Mahindra is not equipped to deal with rain, which has just started falling as well. So we will try to stay out as long as possible. I'm trying to look. We've got a towel. And Jandre's got some stuff. So we'll try and make a plan to stay out as long as possible. But it seems to be one of those cold winter's afternoons. And the lions look quite comfy though. Oh, and the babblers have arrived. Where are they now? Babble, babble, babble. Still quite far away. They've been taking their time getting here. Now I've just heard that Queen Karula was spotted very, very briefly for about 30 seconds before diving into, or not diving literally, but walking into those little river systems near the Gallagher camp, which is of course near impossible to get our little normal cars in, and with this car even less impossible. Now what I'm thinking we're going to try is, now that we're the only car here, we have these lions all to ourselves, is to change up the position again, maybe get a front-on view of the amber's closed eyes, because we're not going to see those amber eyes at the moment. Now, and say when, Jandre? We've got very closed eyes of the big cats at the moment. Now, as we've been saying, they can absolutely change in a split second to become a very, very active animal if something happened to meander into them. But in this cold, windy weather, a lot of the prey species are going to be trying to minimize their movement. Now, firstly, because it's cold, but more importantly because it's windy, and the wind affects their hearing, their smell, and it makes it a lot more difficult for them to detect any predators. And now, in a couple of ways, it's become a little bit harder for the predators, as you can see with the drought and the dry season in its grips. There's very little cover, but what it also has done is the fact that a lot of the prey species are not in their best condition. So you can start to see, I saw some of the impalas I drove in today starting to show a little bit of ribs, and the ticks seem to be taking quite an effect around the neck. So a lot of those species are going to be a little bit easier to catch, and droughts are the time of plenty for the big cats. When you've got good rains, good grazing, it's the time of plenty for the herbivores. But it is now carnivore season, as the buffalo and zebra and all the other herbivores have to often move quite big distances between where there's grass left and where the water is. So it is nature though, so a lot of people tend to get quite upset, but it is what happens, and nature works in cycles, and it's natural to have large die-offs of animals. So the buffalo population might be a bit too big, so a drought will knock 10,000, 20,000 of them. But they bounce back very quickly with good rain. Now, the last time we had drought this bad, this is actually worse though, was in 92, 93. And the greater Kruger at that stage had about 35,000 buffalo, and they lost 22,000 of those buffalo. But between, when the first good rains came, between 94 and now, so just over 10 years, 12 years, the buffalo population has bounced back to 50,000. So it's nature's in this constant ebb and flow, and it's always going to be changing. And it looks like it's changed. Unfortunately, the rain seems to have gone that way, so that's a good thing. So we will soldier it out with the lions. If Karula does pop into a place where someone finds her and we can follow her, we might leave the lions, but at the moment they don't have a visual, so I'm going to stick with a cat. Or two cats in the hand is better than one in the bush. A sort of a foot stomp of a zebra and a little branch falling on the ground, and at vast distance, which often we cannot. just trying to see if I could hear anything. I can just make out some francolin in the distance, and it is incredible. I'm just going to listen again. Oh, now, Captain Seafness would like to know if lions are as grumpy as normal house cats. Oh, well, I don't know. I don't think so. Well, normal house cats are probably grumpy because they're so well treated. And probably if it left them to their devices, they'd be a lot less grumpy. And quite often the reason that normal house cats can be perceived as grumpy is because there's an overpopulation of them. So if we look at wild cats, which they descend from, wild cats would have a pair of wild cats, or it would be very similar to sort of a leopard. Sort of there'd be a male who had domain over multiple females. Now, with human beings domesticating those cats, those territorial boundaries are gone. So maybe they're grumpy because they're in constant competition and scent marking and trying to defend their little patch. Let me just listen to the radio quickly. Just trying to see if they found Karula again. No, they haven't. They're trying. So she's gone into this river system, and it's very, very thick and very, very difficult to get a vehicle into. Do you hear that? Yeah. It was a cop. I think there's a game drive vehicle on the way. Now, strange enough, I was at home where my parents live, which is about 80 kilometers as the crow flies from here, and I was with them, and I was sitting out on the edge of the riverbed editing photographs, and a big troop of baboons came past. One of the baboons had a cough, and I sat there, and eventually I was watching them, and the one baboon was sitting on a termite mound going. He wasn't actually holding his hand up, but he was going and sounded just like a person. There we go. Who's coming to join us? Who was coughing? It's Mike from Cheetah Plains. Oh, her head was up. Her head's up. Come on, Amber. Time to get moving. Enough of this laying about. It looks like she's just testing the wind again. I almost want a big herd of buffalo to accidentally stumble in here.
Perhaps a little bit.
But, of course, whatever was on the wind was not entertaining enough to make her stand up or get more involved, so she's gone back to sleep. Oh, heads up again. Well, hello to Charlotte in Port Elizabeth. Charlotte would like to know whether a lioness is able to refuse a male lion's advances or not. Well, Charlotte, she can try run away, but eventually the male might become very aggressive with her, and it does happen that she might get beaten up a bit. So quite often lionesses will almost, if they are in a pseudo-estrus, they will sort of a fake mate, and we saw that with the young Nkahuma lioness and one of the Birmingham boys. He thought he was mating, but he was missing the mark. So there are ways to get around it, but they can't actually sort of turn down the advances of a male lion. It's detrimental to the pride. Now, you don't want a bunch of very angry male lions running around. You'd rather have them being a little bit more calm. Oh, his head's up now. What have you heard? No, nothing. Almost want a nice big soldier termite to find somewhere soft to bite, at least get some action out of them. I don't know if any of you remember, it was just before I went on leave, we were down on Cheetah Plains with the quarantine male leopard, and he was sleeping on a termite mound, and a soldier termite climbed into his mouth and bit him and sent him leaping off the top of the termite mound. Unfortunately, these two are not on a termite mound. They look very comfortable. Now if we look at the back of the lioness's neck, and she's lying at quite a, well, not really a strange, but position. You can see that black line in the middle where the fur is a bit darker. So you often see the prey species, impala and stuff, fluffing themselves up when they're cold. You can now actually see that on that lioness, how she's fluffing it up. And what she's doing is she's catching air between her skin and her fur and creating a little bit of insulated warmth, a little warm blankie. But what I really love when you see them lying at sort of these slightly more different angles, you can actually see the muscles there, and how incredibly strong. There's almost no fat on a wild lion. I mean, the top athletes in the world wish they had a body fat. What's the ratio? What is it called? Ratio or percentage that a lion, or male or female lion in its prime, would have. Oh, there's another raindrop. That one hit me in the middle of the forehead. Stay away, rain. Hi, Lily. Lily is 8 years old and lives in New Mexico. And from what I hear, New Mexico is quite a wonderful part of the state. It's quite warm. I'm sure I'd like it there. Now, Lily's wondering how big is a male lion's claw. I should have brought my male lion claw with me. I actually have one, but Lily, on my fingers, which are quite big, it's probably about that long, but it's quite a bit wider and obviously a lot sharper than my finger. And you must remember, with lions, they're able to take that claw back inside. So it's incredible that when they're not running or grabbing onto something, those claws are inside. So you don't actually even see their claws on their footprints. Now, Lily, if you've got a house cat at home, you can actually see that on the house cat. I don't recommend trying to make a house cat extend its claws, because it would probably scratch you very badly. As we've discussed, house cats tend to be quite bad-tempered creatures, and they only like to be played with when they decide to, not when you decide it's a good time. But so Lily, I'm trying to think in inches, probably 2 to 3 inches long, and very, very sharp. The end of a lion's claw is sort of as sharp as a needle point. Now, well, you can't really see, but if you have a look at the lioness, her head is on one of her paws, and you can see those dark spots there, and that's where the claws will come out of. Now, a male lion is substantially bigger than a lioness, about 200 pounds heavier. So a very big lioness can reach up to about 150 kilograms. On average, they're around 120 to 125. A big male lion can reach up to 250 kilograms, which is very unusual. I think that's just under 600 pounds. I'm sorry, maths is not one of my strong points. So male lions need to be that much bigger to defend against other male lions. And you'll notice that with most of the cats, that the males will be substantially bigger or heavier, maybe not, sometimes not even as tall, but just sort of more well set. I've seen some very tall female leopards, the same sort of height as a male leopard, but when you look at that male leopard, he's just really thick in the shoulders and in the neck. But not to the same degree as lions, of course. So we are waiting to hear what's happening with poor old Rusty. Now, hopefully all will be sorted shortly, because of course we don't have any capabilities for nocturnal viewing on this vehicle, but we will stay out as long as we can. Wow, imagine that! Just as I mentioned it, it seems like the mechanical gods are Well, smiling Jamie is out and about, so let's go see what she's got to say.
Oh, it seems to be working okay. Well, Rusty hasn't made any more strange noises. James, being James, has come up with an ingenious idea as to what might have caused the problem. The blades of the fan that had snapped off a little while ago might have got caught, and that was what was causing that sort of harsh thunking sound. Now, of course, I don't say that with any tone of surprise. James is very, very clever and has a great deal of common sense, and I think that sounds entirely plausible. So, barring anything further happening with Rusty, if it happens again, then we will obviously retire her for the evening and try and sort her out. In the meantime, we're going to see if we can't find Karula to show you, the Queen of Djuma, the female leopard. Right, so here's what's happening. We've got one vehicle patrolling the 2-track around the power lines. Here we go. I'm not sure whether that's Texan or Aubrey over there. One of the other Djuma vehicles is hanging about by the Galago Pan. Okay. So things might have just changed. We need to try and keep Rusty within Voyatella's signal. We're going to try and keep her on the 2-track. We should be okay from here. Oh dear, it seems as though the gremlins are attacking in full force. They obviously enjoy this weather, and it's causing a little bit of chaos. But let's go nice and slowly and just see if Karula isn't around here somewhere. If we go any further north along this road, we are going to disappear off your screens. She was right up close to Mike's house when they last saw her, moving into the drainage line system. And this is one of her absolute favorite patches around this area. And it's got lots and lots of little hiding places for a leopard like Karula. All kinds of spots for her to disappear into. So keep your eyes peeled, because she may well be somewhere in this vicinity. She definitely is somewhere in this vicinity. It's just a matter of seeing if we can't spot her. Hello to James Richard, who would like to know if I managed to ask Steph about our bright green scorpion that we had this morning on Bushwalk. And I know that I did promise that I would try and find out a little bit more about it. Unfortunately, the day didn't go according to plan. Steph has since gone off, apparently, to a meeting elsewhere. So unfortunately, James Richards, no, I haven't. But I promise you that as soon as I have managed to gain some information on that scorpion, I will share it with you as soon as I know a little bit more. And of course, it would be difficult for all of you to be able to do because you couldn't see it properly, and it was hidden in the bark, but when we first saw it, it was right out in the open, right clearly visible. So we should be able to identify it and work out which particular scorpion it was. And that, of course, is the magic of Bushwalk, is finding all sorts of unusual creepy crawlies and other such things that a lot of us, most of us, have never seen or heard of. And I know that Steph always remarks upon finding things that he's never seen before, which is, it's always the incredibly exciting aspect of the job. Okay, Karula. We're also, of course, listening very intently for alarm calls. This is the one place where it gets exceptionally tricky to find leopards. And the thing that will give her away is the flick of the white-tail. There's some drongos chirping away, but it doesn't sound like they're alarm calling. They're just chirping. Oh, where would Karula be on her way to? She may well be hunting, in which case she will be nigh on impossible to find. And Karula has a tendency to pick one direction, as we've spoken about before, and walk in the complete opposite. But there are 3 of us looking for her, so we've definitely got much higher chances than we might otherwise. Oh, sorry, little one. Okie dokie, hello. You're a surprise. Okie dokie. Okay, it's alright. It's okay. I don't want you to be upset because I don't want your mommy to be upset. It's alright. It's okay. Don't worry. Okay, we are going to move backwards. Not because I feel in any way threatened by our sweet little elephant. Sorry, boy. But because we are in the way of the rest of the herd, and we spoke before about stressed out females, and the fact that the wind is making them nervous. There's a big herd of elephants walking through here, and I'm right in their path. So I'm just going to shuffle backwards so that they've got a space to walk through. Here we go. Hi guys. Hello, hello. Here's a big cow at the back there. They're all perfectly calm and feeding, so they've relaxed completely. But as I said, as sweet as it was to have that little young calf charging us, making himself look very big and very scary, it sometimes brings Mom along as well, and especially when the whole herd of elephants would like to come this way, it's just polite for us to move away and out of their space. Earlier on we had the wonderful rumblings of the elephant herds, and we got a question from one of our younger viewers about whether or not they were growling at each other. It was because they were angry. We said it's not because they're angry, it's because they're talking to each other. Now, Captain Seamless, what you have read is absolutely correct. You've read that somebody's got an itchy foot, itchy ankle. You've read that elephants can hear each other up to or over 2 miles away, and that is totally true. The distance is not completely known. There's a bit of debate about how far elephant low-frequency rumbles can travel, but generally the answer seems to be exceptionally far. So they are capable of producing rumbles that not even human ears can hear. Really, really low rumbling calls. And those are what they use to communicate. And those vibrations travel through the ground and are picked up by other elephants, believe it or not, through their feet, through the soles of their feet, that they then interpret. So yes, elephants can talk to each other over enormous distances. I look forward to the sort of ever-increasing knowledge that we gain in terms of our understanding of these magnificent animals, and I look forward to the moment where we will know a little bit more. We'll never fully understand them, perhaps, but where we will be able to know a little bit more about what each vibration means and what the elephants are saying to each other. It would be a truly, truly marvelous moment. Oh, yummy! Mouthfuls of leaves. We have a slight issue here, guys. I just need to talk to Taxon. How's it? How are you? Is she that side?
No, that's it. She's gonna cross somewhere.
Okay. Guys, Karula is coming to the waterhole. Copy that. Thanks so much, Aubrey. I'm just stuck behind some in Love here. Guys, we're just going to move out of the way for Taxon to come past. Because he got space to squeeze past. Yes, he does. There we go. Can you squeeze past me? Yeah, go ahead. Hi, guys. There we go. So Karula is on her way towards the water. We do find ourselves with elephants between us and her. And I don't want to push them out of the way, so I'm just going to wait for that female to turn, and then we will be able to go and approach. Hello, big girl. Obviously, I don't want to upset her in any way. Copy that, thank you. I'll be around shortly. Okay, we're just going to wait for this lovely lady to move herself into the block slightly. Thank you, girl. Alright, girl. It's okay, big girl. We're not going to push past. Don't stress. Don't stress. Oh, we do have a relatively tricky situation to navigate here. I'm just trying to work out exactly what we can do. Karula is drinking in front of us, but the Ellies are obviously between us and her. Okay, so she's coming straight north, so we might get a view of her here without having to upset the little elephant. There she is. Perfect. We didn't have to move at all. Well done, Brian. There we go. The beautiful Queen of Djuma. Oh! Photobombed by an elephant. That's not something you see every day. How wonderful. Okay. The Ellies have moved away, so we can follow her. We can get a little bit closer. Just wait for this lovely old lady to make sure she's behind the tree. And her little one. And we'll go and catch up with her. There we go. So a little bit of patience paid off. So she's going in here. I'm just trying to work out where would be best for us to follow. I can't see her. Can you, Brian? Either. Yeah, she's going through here this way. Let's go around this way. She's moving. How awesome is this? Queen Karula, the lions, and some elephants just to top off our afternoon. Okay, let's just go nice and slowly around here. See if we don't spot her in the drainage line. I always know. Let's just stop here. And Taxon's a little way ahead, Aubrey's a little way ahead. I always know when these animals come in through here that life's about to get very, very tricky. I can hear Aubrey up ahead. I'm not sure, I didn't have visual. I'm just standing by here. Let's just wait and see if she doesn't pop out. Okay, so lots of you very, very excited to see the great Queen of Djuma, who, true to her sneaky nature, has actually decided to change direction and to start moving this way. And you're all wondering where her cubs may be, and of course she's probably out hunting and checking around for them, trying to find food. That being said, we don't know that for certain. So she may well be coming back to them. She might have hidden them somewhere here. Oh, she's there. Here she was. Now she's moving into the drainage. She's just disappeared as we came through. There she's slinking back towards where we were before, so we'll go back that way. Okay, well done, Brian. Oh. Okay, let's try and do this backwards, shall we? Oh, you're holding on there, Brian. I'm doing everything backwards with my eyes wide open. There we go. Whew, spot to turn around. There she goes. Jogging on her way. She does look empty-bellied, and she's very much off in search of a meal. And this could well be our last visual of her as she goes into a basically impossible area for us to follow, particularly with Rusty feeling the way that Rusty's feeling. Awesome. Hello, girl. Good luck with your hunting expedition. We're not going to try and follow her through the spot. We'll try and circle her, but we're not going to try and follow her. First of all, I think she's empty-bellied and she's hungry. And second of all, with Rusty being in Rusty's state, we actually cannot risk damaging it any further. Just in case you're wondering where Brent has gone, because the Gowrie repeater has gone down, he doesn't have any signal. So he was still with the lions, they were still flat. That's what's happening there. How awesome is that? And a big thank you to Taxon and Aubrey for helping us keep track of her. She was coming in this direction, straight into this drainage line, this river system. And let's just keep an eye on her. You got her. There she is. Well spotted, Brian. Awesome. I need to... Taxon is right behind me and Aubrey's guests haven't had a chance to look at her. So I need to show them where she is. Just hold on one moment. We're going to go... trying to work out exactly... We've still got visual of her. It looks like she's gone flat for now in between all of those guarri bushes. Okay, there she is sitting, looking off into the distance. We need to turn around. I can't do an approach from here, so I'm going to just reposition the angle that we're at. It's all a little bit tricky right now. Sorry guys, we will reposition to get you a view in a moment. I just need to turn around a little bit further up here, and I don't want to risk damaging Rusty. Thanks so much, Orbs. Thank you. Cheers. Yeah, I told you. Okay, just chatting to one of the guests who we told him that if he was patient, Karula would be there, and so she is. I'm so glad that they've had a chance to see the Queen. Okay, let's see if we can't get another view. I think what we should do, since Taxon and Aubrey are there, I think maybe we should try to go... Oh, we can't. We can't actually go into this drainage line, can we? We're going to lose signal if we do that. Oh, this operation this afternoon has become relatively difficult. Especially with Rusty smelling the way that Rusty's smelling. The temperature gauge says we're fine. Okay, let's try from this angle. Might be a bit easier for me to see where she is. Just need to listen to Aubrey. It looks as though she might have started to move on. She's not. I don't think she is where Brian last saw her. And Zumi Joyce, you wanted to know what direction Karula is moving in. She did go towards the Galago Pan. She actually had a drink at the Galago Pan. She's now moving a bit further to the north of the Ruatela or the Djuma Pan. She's in the drainage line system that is north of the camps. And we absolutely are not going to be able to get ourselves in here. I think that Aubrey's guests do still have a view. It looks as though they're looking at her. But for us, this is the position that we have for now. Unfortunately, I don't see any way around it without us blocking other people's view. So, a brief but wonderful... Oh, there we go. That is definitely the best shot we have ever had of Karula. Well done, Brian. I present to you a leopard in the wild. Quite possibly one of the best views we ever did have. How marvellous. Well done, Brian, because that does give us a very clear demonstration of just how well that camouflage of hers works. I don't think her cubs are with her. I think that she's left them somewhere and she has gone hunting. Sorry, I'm having a good chuckle because the most extraordinary moth just flew by and I tried to catch it and I nearly fell over. It's gone, unfortunately. I didn't manage to catch it for you. I think she's hunting. She's also been regularly marking her territory. So the last time we saw her in this area was on Sunday, where she was marking after fireside chat. And I think it's important for her to make sure she maintains territorial boundaries as well. Look, I think that's her face on the right there. I'm not sure though. I'm not 100% convinced. And definitely because Taxon and Aubrey helped us to find her, it's definitely important that we take... There we go, that is her face. Or a little bit of her face. Yes, there we go. There was an edge of an ear there. I hope you were all paying close attention. You see the heat waves rippling off Rusty. This is a bit concerning. Okay. I think we might be able to reposition for a different view. I'm not 100% convinced though. But we will be able to take Aubrey's position once he moves out. But as I said, he's got guests on the back that are so incredibly excited to see Queen Karula. They've been watching the show every morning and every afternoon, South African guests, and they've been just dying to meet a character that they have watched, to see her in real life. While we attempt to find a slightly better view of the lovely Queen of Djuma, let's go back to Brent, who finally has some signal and is still with his lions.
As you can see, it's getting dark and ominous at the moment. The wind is picking up. Oh, male lion has lifted his head. Now, literally, that is the first movement we've had while we've been away. Unfortunately, the Gary repeater went down for a little bit, but it's back, and Vim and James have changed the batteries. And as you can see, the male lion has lifted his head, and the female has not moved an inch, apart from moving her neck around and facing us again. She's still very much fast asleep. Now, no. Oh, what was that funny little shake? Sort of a funny little paw shake. It's a shiver, he's cold. And down goes the head again. So you literally came across at the exact right time when the male decided to lift his head, even if it was for a brief second. Now I'm going to try and maneuver the car. We don't have spotlights and things on this vehicle. I'm going to try and utilize the headlights. Hey, big boy. Looks like there's a ray of sunshine, but there isn't, I guarantee. Have you heard that clicking? It was just me snapping a shot. I suggest you do the same and share your screenshots with us on our Facebook page, Safari Live, or on Twitter with the hashtag Safari Live. And of course, there are numerous groups, the Djuma Junkies, with Safari Live, Wild Pics, and we encourage you to join and share on those groups as well. But we have gone back to snoozing. There's nothing that can sleep quite like a big cat. How's it, Andrew? Very well, thank you. Long time now. I'm very well, thanks. Good. Hi, everyone. So, Pallavi would like to know if we can predict when a lion charges. Now, you can most of the time. There's some very telltale signs. With the big cats, one of the most important ones is the swinging tail. So they flick their tail from side to side. Their ears will go flat. They'll change their body language. Now, if you have a domestic cat at home, a lot of those telltale signs, obviously on a much smaller scale, can be seen. And a lion will try in its power do everything except charge. And most animals don't want to charge you because there's a potential, if they get into a charge or a fight with you, that they might hurt themselves. Oh, there we go, heads up again. Oh, he's a tired kitty. Head's gonna go down. There we go. Head's down. Hello, Gracie, who's 8 years old and obviously one of our biggest Safari Live fans, and we love having Gracie on Drive with us. And Gracie says, welcome back. Thank you, Gracie. And she says, do I have any new stories? Well, only one really. Actually two, maybe. I don't know, Jamie might have told you. When we were down, we went to a friend's wedding near the beach. And we got to see lots of whales. jumping out of the sea, which was quite fun, and no, we didn't see any dolphins this time, but we did see lots of whales and lots of seabirds diving and eating fish, which was nice. And we did that all from the comfort of a balcony, which was quite pleasant. And then actually yesterday evening, a little bit earlier, at about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, my mother and father went on a game drive, and I decided I was just going to go for a little walk. And I got to sit on the road, and I had 3 wild dogs come right up and give me a sniff. And then they carried on in their hunting, and it was quite funny because around the corner, following the wild dogs, was my dad driving after them. And he wanted to know if I wanted to come on. I said, no, I'm going to continue on my walk, and I let my dad continue following those wild dogs. We went on to chase some impala, but no one could find if they caught them or not. But there's a nice story for you, Gracie. Other than that, I behaved myself this leave. Not too many adventures, just lots of bird watching and book reading and photo editing. Now, I wish I looked as comfortable as those lions. I've got my blankie out already, and it's quite chilly. I'd guess it's probably, what do you reckon, John Ray? 12 degrees Celsius? 12, 13 degrees Celsius? So, what's that, 40 something. Bethany's a very observant safari live viewer. She says, fun fact, you can always tell how cold it is here at Djuma, depending on how the lions sleep. You know, or the cat sleeps. If they're curled up in a ball like this, then you know it's cold. And if they're stretching out and trying to be as open as possible, you know that it's hot. Well, there's Bethany's fun fact, and it's completely true. Very observant of you, Bethany. And you can see how their ears aren't twitching nearly as much now. The flies have gone to bed. There might be the few last very hungry flies left feeding off them, but the wind's picked up, temperatures dropped. The flies are probably sleeping on a bush close by. Oh, it is incredibly windy now. So James Dungard is asking if the reserve my parents live on has a wild dog den on it. It does currently, and it's about to have a second. So the big pack of wild dogs have split, and a new pack of 3, which is the ones I saw yesterday, have split from the main pack, and the female's pregnant, and she was actually digging in a termite mound about 500 meters from my parents' house, so we're hoping she uses that as her den. So there are actually sort of 2 packs of wild dogs on that reserve at the moment, and both about to den. Unfortunately, our wild dogs that we see regularly here, one pack has denned in the Manuleti, and the other has denned in Singita. So not too close, and we're going to probably have to wait about a month and a half, 2 months, before those puppies become mobile, and we might start seeing them again. Nice to still have you with us, Monique. And Monique would like to know, is there a point in a lioness's life when she stops mating or stops coming to estrus? There is, and if I remember correctly, it's probably 12 or 13 years old, but I think it depends on the individual. But normally by the time a lioness gets to that age, the reason she's not coming to estrus is because she's not in good condition. In captivity, where they're fed regularly, and that they can breed up to about close to 20, but in the wild, I think it's probably a lack of nutrients and teeth falling out, so they're unable to come to estrus because they're just not in tip-top condition. So we're going to stay with the sleepy kitty cats for now. In the meantime, let's go see what Jamie's up to. It's cold.
We are on our way to take over from Brent's sleeping kitty cats, since we definitely are more set up and prepared for nocturnal filming than Maggie the makeshift Mahindra is. Right, so we left Karula for a couple of reasons. One was she was very clearly, the most important being she was very clearly hungry and hunting, and I didn't want to go in after her in a very, very thick block and disturb her in any way, disturb her concentration with lights on and so on. And I mean, in that sort of area it would be impossible for us to follow her without running the risk of interfering in some way. And then to add to that consideration is poor Rusty's health. We definitely don't want to add any additional pressure and run the risk of Rusty breaking down somewhere in the middle of the vegetation, away from any roads, without any way of getting back. That's not something we want to risk either. But for now, because Brent's backpack at some point is going to stop working, and because he doesn't have the lights on his vehicle, we're going to make our way across and take over from his lion sighting. But still absolutely magical that we got to see Queen Karula. Even if it was a little bit of a short sighting, it was nevertheless always a privilege and a pleasure to get to see her. And that is where we are off to now. Before everything finishes up, and before Brent disappears off your screen, I think he'd like to say goodbye to you all, since it is his first drive back.
So heads up, there's some yawning, and hopefully Jamie is on her way here, because it does look like they might get moving shortly. So this is, oh, there we go. We're going to look for some stretches, some yawns, and just in case it does die, I'm going to say toodles. And I hope you've enjoyed this evening's sunset safari, and I'll be back with you bright and early for the sunrise safari. But we are going to stay with these lions for as long as possible until we disappear. And look at that, isn't that just gorgeous? Hope you guys are getting some nice screenshots. Andrew has added his spotlight to our headlight. That lovely side lighting there. So, let's have a look. Jean-Andre says we should try kill ours. See how's that look, Jean-Andre? Put ours back. Okay. Jean-Andre has told me to put ours back. I don't think it's not quite dark enough for the side light completely. But there we go. We can see the grooming starting to happen, and it's a good precursor to movement. Yawning, grooming, getting up, stretching, urinating. Now hopefully they are successful in their hunting tonight and remain on Djuma, so we can catch up with them on the sunrise safari. Oh, lovely. Come on, give us a big yawn. No, a head scratch will suffice. Isn't she just gorgeous? Or both of them are. Oh, itchy ear. They do look like they get immense enjoyment out of a good scratch. And there we can see why allo grooming in lions is so important. That big male trying to get around to his back and struggling. There comes a yawn. Everyone ready? Yay! Lovely big yawn. Well, Pierre is obviously a Safari Live serious fan. It's 1 a.m. in Australia and Pierre is watching these lions. Pierre would like to know, why do they have black on the back of their ears? Well, Pierre, it's for non-verbal communication. So it's for visual communication. Cubs are able to spot that and they follow their mother. Also, while the lions are hunting, they're able to move their ears, and there's a lot of non-verbal communication that takes place between lions. So that's what the black's there for. It's a signaling mechanism. So it looks like Jamie has arrived in the nick of time. According to Jeandre, we are flashing battery end, which is obviously not something we want to see. So from Jeandre and myself, it's been absolutely spectacular having you. It's great to be back in the bush, and I can't wait to go out again on the sunrise safari. So while the lions look like they're about to move, we're going to send you back across to Jamie, and we're going to head back towards camp and maybe give some of the camp staff a chance to come have a look at these lions.
While Brent heads back towards camp, we've got the last few moments to spend with these amazing lions. Oh, Ephraim had spotlighted them beautifully for us. 1 second. Let's just see. Hold on 1 minute, everybody. My apologies. I need to just fix my microphone, which apparently has slipped down my cap. Just bear with me. I'm going to take your spotlight off for 1 second, because I can't do this with one hand. Oh, they're going to think about mating. Although it looks as though Amber Eyes is definitely quite tired of this whole process, and what she really wants, from what I understand, is a jolly good meal. At this point, he's going to phlegm and grimace for us now that he's sniffed her urine, and perhaps he'll get the message that she's actually... Here we go. That beautiful open-lipped snarl that the lions give, and he's probably, maybe, well, I'm hoping he's getting the message that actually... Oh no, she's getting away, buddy. I can't turn on my vehicle lights for now, because there is another vehicle that I'm absolutely going to blind if I do that. He's running to catch up with her. There he goes. Let's try and stay with him. There they are now. She's stopped for the moment. We have to go back the way we came. Well, we arrived very well timed. Sorry guys, I need to drop the spotlight. Perfect timing for us, because the lions are just about to get up and move. You good there, Brian? Is that okay? Cool. Everybody watch your head, that one was thorny. I'm going to try and stay with him as long as we possibly can, but we've mentioned before, we can't run the risk of injuring Rusty. I don't know where the female went, but the male is right here. Hello, boy. So wonderful, guys. You've all been providing us with extraordinary screenshots of our lions yawning and stretching, so that's marvelous to hear. Do you know that they've just gotten up? He's here. The female is there. So that burst of extraordinary activity from our consorting felines has been to settle down once again in a different spot. Basically, she got up to urinate and then went and lay back down again. Oh, that was quite exciting, considering they've all of a sudden stopped moving once again. Let's go forward a little bit. We need to just make some space for the other vehicles that are coming in here. Oh, Wesley. We've been watching Amber Eyes as she has mated with 2 Birmingham boys now. over the last week or so, and during that entire time we've been on Djuma. And you wanted to know, will lions stay in the same place while they are busy mating? How's that for you, Brian? Perfect. And the answer is they generally do. So mating cats don't move as far as they would usually. Oh, we're getting another yawn from the lioness. She hasn't settled. She's not going to settle for long. I think he just blocked her from leaving once again, and she kind of lay down in an exasperated defeat. Sorry, Wesley. So mating cats generally don't move as far as others do. That's because they've got plenty to occupy them. Oh, look at that. Another extraordinary yawn, and a beautiful glimpse of those orange eyes that Amber Eyes is famous for. Well, mating lions, in my experience, can move a little bit further than mating leopards. Basically what happens is, especially when the female's reaching the end of her estrus cycle, all she wants to do is try and meet up with the rest of her pride, and he's just not letting her. Now, of course, she started off her estrus cycle mating with a different male before swapping to one of the other coalition members. And what that means is that whilst she's relatively exhausted, the newcomer, or the male that took over from Blondie, has not quite reached the conclusion. He's not as exhausted as she may be. And I think this is... I'm not actually sure. I haven't had a chance to see which male lion this is. Either way, he's definitely far more enthusiastic than she is about the whole situation. And thank you to Angie. There we go. We've got the answer to our question. Apparently this is Birmingham boy number 2. So the one that we saw... Was it yesterday, Brian? It was yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday.
It was yesterday. The one that we saw yesterday morning on the sunrise safari, mating with Amber Eyes. So it is Birmingham boy number 2. So he's only just stepped up to the plate, so to speak, and started mating with Amber Eyes. So that's why he's demonstrating this level of enthusiasm. A big yawn from him. And he's going to try and initiate. Is it going to work? Oh, she's not impressed with him. She just wants some food. She's looking very hungry. And no, she is totally done at this point. He's initiating, and she is running away from him. Another big yawn, and off they go. Him again, blocking her, chasing her, trying to convince her that he is the man for her. And I don't think he's doing a very good job. He's going to do some marking, some urine spraying. Now they moved right behind the vehicle, so I had to give them time to reposition so before we started up. Alright, I know where this goes. This goes into a drainage line system. We're going to try for one last view, but unfortunately I don't think we're going to be able to stay with them for the end of the sunset safari. It's just that little bit tricky. Oh, they're moving so fast. And Tasha, given our poor female's level of reluctance, and my apologies, I just need to concentrate. Watch your head there, Biba. Oh, I think we missed it. My apologies for not looking at you. I'm just trying to make sure we don't do any further damage to Rusty. You're wondering, of course, as most concerned people are, when this male is going to leave the poor female alone, since she clearly isn't interested. And probably tonight. She'll probably ditch him tonight. He's been doing some phlegm and grimacing, some checking of her urine, and he's going to get the message at some point. So when we saw them yesterday on the sunrise safari, it was very clear to me that she was relatively reluctant, but she was responding only in kind whenever he went and approached her. At this point, she's not even responding in that way. Okay. They've gone into the drainage line. Chances are they're gonna pop out on the western edge of quarantine. For us, that's a much longer journey. We can't do it in a straight line, so we're gonna go back and around towards that side. I know exactly which path they're gonna take. Well, no, I don't. I suspect I know what path they're gonna take. And Ophira summing up the state of affairs, I think, beautifully. And Ophira's basically said, well, poor Amber Eyes, Blondie's gone off. He's gone to go have a nice meal somewhere with his buddies. He's tired of her now. And he's left her stuck with Birmingham boy number 2, with this guy, who has only one thing on his mind, and doesn't really know to take into account the fact that Amber Eyes probably hasn't eaten properly in about 6 or 7 days. So I don't think she's feeling very chuffed about life. Okay, this game path is going to lead us straight to the western edge of quarantine, or lead them there. Tasha, on the subject of poor Amber Eyes' misfortune in being lumped with 2 males, I guess you raise a really good point, because we know that males fight over access to the females. Most male mammals do that. So why on earth then did Birmingham boy number 2 get a chance to mate after Blondie did? Would they have argued over it? Or did they fight over it? What would have happened? How does that work? And the answer is male lions and coalitions are actually quite surprisingly, and this is in general, not always, but they're surprisingly tolerant of the attentions of other males. Not when they're courting initially. When one male comes along and he finds a female that's an estrus, he will court her, and he will be very aggressive towards any other male lion that approaches, or actually anything that approaches, including occasionally vehicles and other members of her pride. He tries to keep them away from her. And even if another male approaches, they generally recognize the sort of first come, first serve rule, because there's so many lionesses that they know they will have a chance to mate. But what often happens, when a female goes into estrus, a male starts mating with her, he actually kind of runs out of steam before she does, and he might leave before she is out of estrus, at which point, as was what happened here, I imagine, Birmingham boy number 2 came in and took over. So I think Blondie left of his own accord. I don't think there was much squabbling. When we saw him at the end of it, Blondie was on his way. He'd left wherever she was, and he was making his way towards the contact calls of the rest of the pride. Are we going to catch up with them before the end of the sunset safari? We should do. We've explained the way in which Amber Eyes, or how Amber Eyes came to be mating with 2 different males. Our beard, the logical extension of that is that it will provide some additional protection to her cubs when she does have them. And yes, you're right. With any cat, mating with multiple males automatically increases the investment that those males have in her cubs, regardless of whether or not they are actually fathered by them. They're going to think that they are. So she tricks them into thinking they are. They may be, they may not be. Strangely enough, there's new research that suggests in certain areas, about somewhere close to half of the cubs that are fathered are not fathered by the dominant males in the area, which means that the lionesses are doing a lot more of that. Ooh, let's dim these lights. There's a load of impala on quarantine, which is where the lions are heading towards. That means, yes, the lionesses are doing quite a bit of this. Not, mating with as many males as they possibly can. Right, I suspect, I'm hoping, they're going to have popped out at this game path here, close to the bush dinner site on Quarantine Clearings. And as our lioness, the one thing that might preclude us from finding them is the sheer desperation on the part of Amber Eyes to get away from this male. And Cheryl has suggested perhaps a heavy frying pan or a rolling pin might be the best way forward for her to help her rid herself of him. He certainly, I will give him 10 out of 10 for persistence. Having seen him yesterday, I'm not going to give him 10 out of 10 for anything else, but definitely 10 out of 10 for sheer persistence. Okay, I'm hoping they came out somewhere here on Quarantine, but she was moving so fast we might not even have got round in time. I wonder if she's managed to duck him yet, or at what point she will. Oh wow. Now the sky decides to clear. Let's just stop for a moment. I'm actually going to switch off. We've got an extraordinary view, and it gives me a chance to just double check that I haven't missed anything. How's that for an evening scene? And just a sliver of waxing moon. Absolutely beautiful. No lions, just several herds of clustered impala hiding away, huddling in terror, and a really beautiful moon. Look at that. I think I said this the last time we saw a waxing sliver of moon. Ah, look at how cool that is. Craters and everything. And doesn't that just look like the Cheshire Cat smile in Alice in Wonderland? I think I said this the last time we saw a crescent moon. And this camera providing us with absolutely amazing detail. Craters of the moon is all, and all. As the sun has descended and brought evening upon us, it has illuminated this beautiful sliver of moon for us to look at. And the wind blowing, very little ambient light, so a dark, dark night. I think it's safe to say the animals of Djuma, the Sabi Sand and the Kruger National Park in general, the predators are going to have a field day. So Karula and our hunting lions may well be successful. The prey, on the other hand, are probably going to have a relatively frightening night ahead of them. And we shall unfortunately have to wait until morning to unravel the mysteries of whatever has occurred, and we shall do that on the sunrise safari tomorrow morning. So as we come now to the end, a big thank you to Brian for all of his fantastic camera work as always, for bearing the cold with us, and also for helping me have a close examination of the engine. Thank you to Lou and Jerry Lou and Kirsty in Final Control. Oh, I'm going to get into trouble. Thank you to Lou and Kirsty, and thank you most of all to all of you for your questions, comments and company. Have a wonderful day, and we'll catch up with you tomorrow. Bye-bye, everybody.